Hey guys, my name's Matt. We've been walking y'all through the Tag SE today. We'll start up front, kind of loop around the outside, and then we'll go to the inside and show you guys the rest of the stuff. So right up front, you have your battery. This is a 24 group standard lead acid type battery. So it is going to have the little covers here on each side that with standard lead acid batteries, you are going to have some routine maintenance. At least once or twice a year, pop these covers off. There is going to be a kind of visible water level inside, where the green cap here kind of dips down inside and stops is about where that water level should be. When you top this off, you make sure you top it off with distilled water, not tap water. Distilled water is pretty readily available at most grocery stores, gas stations, pretty easy to come by. Right here on the front, you do have a 30 amp fuse. This is your main fuse for the entire camper off of the battery. So if you're not getting your lights, anything inside not running off of the battery, I would double check this fuse. It's pretty standard, comes out just a standard automotive blade type fuse, and it sticks right back inside. There is a spare fuse taped to the inside of the converter inside. I'll show you that once we get back there. The battery box lid is just going to snap in. You've got a snap on each side, front and back. And then the strap is just kind of a secondary security that the lid does not go flying off. That'll click in place right there. Now on this one, we do have a portable solar port set up on the side here. So this is set up to run with a ZAMP portable solar panel. We'll fit other brands, but the polarity may change, so just try to confirm before you plug anything other than a ZAMP brand solar panel. On the front here, with hooking up, you do have your two safety chains, and then the latch on here, the coupler, once the ball is actually inside the coupler, this latch on the top is going to slide all the way forward. These little teeth right here are going to fall down inside that hole there. And then on this model, the pin off of the wheel, once you get it up and take the wheel off, this pin is actually the same diameter that will fit through the latch here. So if you can get the pin through the latch, then you are successfully latched down on the ball. Safety chains are going to be relatively long, kind of standard. If they are too long, you can twist them up a little bit to pull some slack out. They do come out at the same location, so crossing them really doesn't physically cross the chains, but if you want to cross them to kind of pull some slack out as well, you can do that. This 7-way cord here is going to go into your vehicle. This ridge on the top here is going to go up towards the lid. So once the lid comes out, there's going to be a corresponding tab that will come down behind this tab and will hold this in place on the vehicle. Moving back on the front, you do have a battery disconnect switch here. What this is going to do is when you have it in long-term storage, I would say more than a week, 2 weeks, then I would go ahead and turn this to the off position. You'll see it's red on the side there. The battery is going to be perpendicular to the ground. When it's in the use position, the battery will be horizontal. You'll see the green back behind it. This does actually remove as well, so if it's off and you push it in and turn it again, it will come out. It's not broken. You can just put it right back in and turn it right back to the on position. So that's on. On this model, everything with the exception of your air conditioner will run off of the battery. The vent fan on the roof, the lights, all function from the battery. The air conditioner is the only thing it needs to be plugged in through the 30 amp power cord to get any supply. So moving around the side, on both doors, you're going to have your holdback here. It's a pretty standard, just kind of snaps into place. So once it's there, you just push it in. When you're ready to close the door, you just pop it out of there and you're ready to go. On the inside of the door, both side doors are going to be identical. You do have a red lever here, which is going to activate your deadbolt, and then that'll lock and unlock there. And then the handle itself is only locked and unlocked from the outside. So you do have two keys on your keychain. You'll have the little square key here. That's going to function both of these locks here. So this is going to do your handle. Just turn it 90 degrees, pull the key out. On the deadbolt, once you get it in there, you're going to turn it 90 degrees back to the center and then pull the key out. Just the opposite to unlock. Turn it the opposite direction, back to the center on the deadbolt, and then the handle, 90 degrees back again, and that'll release the handle. You do have a porch light on both sides. There is a switch on the ceiling inside. It is labeled as porch light. So there's one for the one switch will run both lights on both sides. Around the side here, grab this power cord. You have your 30 amp power cord supply here. This is going to be the cord that will come with the unit. This end obviously is going to hook up to the camper. You'll see it corresponds with the prongs that are on there. And then the other end is going to be your 3-prong 30 amp service. Not a dryer plug. This one is only set up for 110 volts. There are a lot of plugs set up in garages and dryer plugs that look very similar, have the same orientation, but they are 240 volts, not 120 that the camper needs. So if it's not set up for a travel trailer or an RV, it should say on the plug. Do not plug it in there unless you know for sure that it is set up for 120 volts. On the power cord, you'll see one of the terminals has a little dog leg on it. You'll see it's got a corresponding terminal there as well. So you'll push that in, push it all the way back. You can give this a little quarter turn and it'll tell you on here, turn it to unlock and lock. And then the collar here, it's a little tricky because it's threading onto some plastic, so it does take a little finagling sometimes to get it to line up perfectly, but it will thread on and kind of hold it back in place. And once it's set up there, you'll be all set to go. There is an indicator light on the male end here, which will be at the pole. There'll be a blue light on this side, and on this side there will be a red light, just indicating that there's power present. That's all it's going to do, just kind of a initial indication that you got power. Above that, you will have a little chrome vent, one on each side. These are for your air conditioner. So your air conditioner is a window unit type AC. It's not hanging out the outside of the camper, obviously. It's tucked inside of a cabinet inside. So that cabinet is vented. There's a fan inside, little switch that says AC fan. Turn that switch on anytime the AC is running, so that it can provide the adequate airflow that the air conditioner needs behind it. Once that fan is running, you will feel some air breeze blowing through here. There's also a vent down below, which includes the drain pan for any condensation for that AC to drain out of. That air conditioner is really the only thing on this camper that you would want to keep in mind about being level. If you're leaning too far forward, that drain pan on the AC may drip to the inside. But if you're leaning too far back, it's just going to drain out the back. So try to get it an eyeball, comfortable level. If you do need to level, you use the tires to level left to right. So if you're sagging down on one side, you can roll that side up onto some blocks. Front to back, you will use the tongue jack on the front here. So this side, cranking it clockwise is going to raise it, and counterclockwise is going to lower it. That's also what you'll use to get it on and off of the vehicle, so it's kind of dual purpose on that for you. And then on the back, you do have 2 stabilizer jacks. So once you get it leveled out, set up where you know you're going to be, unhooked from the vehicle, you want to get inside and start moving around. These will run down to the ground and kind of sure it up so it doesn't feel like it's moving around as much. You do have a tool here that comes with it. It is slotted on the end here, which is going to correspond with the tabs on the drive there. That'll slide in there. And again, clockwise, we'll take it down. Once you get to the ground, you are not using these stabilizer jacks to raise the camper or level the camper, just to what they are called, to stabilize. So once it hits the ground and it feels kind of solid, normally do about a quarter, half a turn after that just to sure it up, make sure that it's firm and that it's not going to bounce around on you anymore. Once you're done, you do have one on the corresponding side, same spot on the opposite side as well. So around the back, you do have your converter here. So this is your main power distribution for the camper. So you'll have your AC breakers on the left-hand side there that are labeled, the main 30 amp coming in. And then you have one designated for the air conditioner outlet, which is mounted right above it. So the other 15 amp is going to go to the converter portion and then the outlet that you have inside as well. The 12 volt fuse is on the right there. The main at the bottom is another 30 amp fuse, main 30 amp fuse for power coming in. And then the other ones are going to be your vent fan, your AC fan, your 12 volt plugs as well, and the lights. You will see you do have that spare 30 amp fuse taped to the cover there. So that can be used either back here on the converter or up front at the battery as well. On that AC plug that's over here, you will see there are a little reset, a little GFI type reset on it. Very similar to what you would see on a hair dryer, curling iron, basically any same GFI that you would find on a lot of other appliances. So if power is present, you have power at the 110 outlets throughout the camper, but the air conditioner is not running, just double check that that has not been tripped, because it can possibly trip if it's left turned on and you plug the camper in. On the lid of the rear hatch, you do have a little light here. It's got a little touch button there. All the lights on this camper are LED. When you close the latch, you'll see right now the handles are perpendicular. When they're locked, they will be parallel to the ground. And then you will have another key, which is your little diamond key here. This is going to be for these two rear latches. So same thing as the door handle. Once you get it in there, 90-degree turn, remove the key, and that will lock the handles for you. Around this side here, you have the same vent here for the air conditioner, same as the other side, and then another stabilizer jack as well. While we're still on the outside, we'll go over lug nut torque. Any lug nuts, any axle manufacturer for most RVs are going to tell you that they have a torque sequence to make sure that the lug nuts do stay tight and properly torqued. These are designated at 100 foot-pounds. Can be accomplished with any standard torque wrench. Doesn't have to be a fancy one. It can be a little click style one. They do recommend doing it every 15, 25, 30, 50 miles for the first 300 miles of travel. After that, anytime the tire is removed, it'd be a good idea to re-torque them again once they get put back on and restart that cycle again. If you do any maintenance on them, these don't have brakes, but they do have bearings on the axles that will require servicing every now and then. Manufacturer recommendations on the bearing pack is going to be once a year or every 10 to 12,000 miles. Kind of hard to keep track of mileage on trailers, so they do once a year intervals is recommended for repacking the bearings. After that, you do have the same door here. Same thing as what you have on the other side, just you'll notice that the door handle is actually flipped. It's going to be upside down compared to the other one. So the same function, same key is going to work both doors. And then you still have the same latch on the back as well. On this one, your spare tire is mounted underneath the trailer. You do have a gravity feed spare tire hanger there, which is very similar to what you would find on a lot of vehicles. Trucks use them, pretty common. So you do have this little tool here. See, it is labeled as a 3/4 inch. So if you don't want to use the tool, you want to just use a standard 3/4 inch socket, wrench, whatever you want to use, it'll still function just the same. This is ratcheting, so you'll see it kind of goes the opposite direction. This one, it'll tell you here, lower is going to be counterclockwise, and then to raise the tire back up into position, you're going to go clockwise. So just ratchet it back and forth. You'll see the tire starts to come down, starts to get loose. There is a little cable on the end, a plate that holds it in place. So release it from the plate, pull the tire out. When you go to put it back in, just ratchet it back up. You don't want to put a whole lot of oomph behind it. It is a cable system, so you don't want to stretch the cable or damage the cable at all. So once it's firm, you feel that the tire is not shaking anymore, then you are all set and ready to go. This tool will be inside the bag that you have in here with all the owner's manuals and other paperwork with the unit as well. And then that is pretty much it on the outside. So then on the inside here, You do have your two light switches right here. One is labeled as porch light, which are going to be those two exterior lights that we spoke of earlier, the one on this side and the one on the opposite side. Then the ceiling light one here is going to be the one ceiling light above you right there by the fan. And then speaking of the fan, you do have a fantastic fan on this one. That is a 3-speed reversible fan. So you do have a little lock mechanism here to hold the lid down so it's not flopping around on you. Make sure you release that. There's a corresponding arrow on it. So counterclockwise locks it, and then clockwise will unlock it. Once you open this lid, then you will have your option here to either pull air in or you can pull air out, whichever choice you have. So if we want to pull the air out, you select that. The arrow is pointing that it's going up towards the lid. Then you have your 3-speed selection over here, 1, 2, and 3. 3 is obviously going to be your highest, 2 is medium, 1 is low. So there is a little blade fuse or a bulb fuse in here as well. So if the fan is not functioning, your light on the ceiling is. Most likely that fuse right there has either blown or there may be some other issue with the switch. There is a switch on the lid. So once you go to close it down, if anything on here is still in the on position, it will not function. It will shut the motor off. So it only functions, the fan only operates when it is in the open position. And once you close it, just pull that latch back over to make sure it's in the locked position. Being that it is such a small enclosed space, they do recommend that you have some sort of ventilation in the camper while you are sleeping. So you can either have the vent open here or you have the windows on the sides. So both windows are going to function exactly the same. You'll have 4 latches on here. The 2 on the sides just swing up out of your way. The 2 on the bottom here have a little button that you have to push in to be able to release. Same thing there. Once you push it open all the way, you have 2 little thumb screws, 1 on each side. You're just going to tighten those up at whatever angle you want it to be at. That'll hold the window open for you. When you come down, there is a slot inside these latches that you can pull this latch into. And what that'll do is allow you a vent without having the window all the way open. When you are traveling, you want to make sure that these are fully closed and latched all the way in, just so they're not catching any wind unnecessarily. Both windows are going to have your shade coming up from the bottom. It'll catch into the screen that comes down from the top. And then if you want to release it, you just pop that open, pull this up, and then you have straight through. Again, same thing on both sides. Then back here you have your 12-volt outlet, which is just a standard cigarette lighter type style outlet that you'd have in most vehicles. The switch in the middle there is going to be an AC fan, which is that little cooling fan that we were speaking of that creates the airflow behind the air conditioner. So anytime the AC is on and running, you want to make sure that that switch is turned on as well to provide the adequate airflow so that the AC can breathe. You do have another 110 outlet here. You'll notice that one is a GFI, which is very similar to what you find in most kitchens or bathrooms. There is a test and a reset button on there. So same as the one on the air conditioner. If you know you're plugged in, you got power, then nothing's coming out of the 110 outlets, then just double check that that hasn't been tripped. And if it has, then just push the reset button and you should be good to go. On the air conditioner here, you have your main power on and off at the bottom. You have a high and low fan speed. And then you have the option on the top, the turn dial of the cool settings, or you can do fan only. So you'll see on the left-hand side, it starts at minimum cool, goes all the way over to 10 at maximum cool. Or you can pull the lever down just to the fan icon and it'll only do the fan. Then on the wall here, you have a pretty standard 9-volt operated smoke detector. Now that thing, if battery gets low, just like in your house, will start chirping at you in the middle of the night. And then on this side by the door, you're going to have the same thing. Looks very similar, but it is a carbon monoxide detector. Still is 9-volt operation on that one as well. And then right above that, you're going to have your fire extinguisher. It's a small powder fire extinguisher. There's a little green button on top here. So when you push the button down, it should have some pressure to come back up. As long as you have that pressure and that green button returns to the up position, then it is good, pressurized, and ready to go. Good idea to double check that probably most times before you take on a trip. Maybe check your 9-volt batteries as well, because they always seem to go out in the middle of the night. You do have storage in the front here. Got 2 little latches on top that just kind of pop into place. And then that is pretty much it. We do supply you with a very small, pretty standard 30 amp to 15 amp adapter here. Generally we would give that to you for getting your refrigerator cold, kind of getting it set up. With this one, really the only purpose you'd have out of that is potentially running the recharging the battery. If you wanted to set it up on a 15 amp or 20 amp outlet like this to run the air conditioner, then I would recommend upgrading to what they call a dog bone, which is just kind of a heavier duty version of an adapter, so that this one doesn't get damaged or get too hot from pulling a lot of amperage through it. So other than that, not a whole lot to it. General maintenance on them, you do want to check exterior sealants. You'll have silicone sealants around the outside anywhere that trim is installed on the side of the camper. Just look for any gaps or cracks or any voids, anything that could allow any water to penetrate and get inside. Manufacturers recommend to do that every 90 days, so about every 3 months. Just kind of do a quick visual inspection of them. Try to catch it before it gets bad. But other than that, not a whole lot else. So thank you guys.